Imagine stepping inside a sprawling 45,000 square foot warehouse. The air hits your nostrils first, a thick, intoxicating cocktail of industrial ozone, vaporized rubber, and the unmistakable aroma of slightly burnt Chuck E. Cheese pizza. Out on the asphalt, a pack of 12-year-olds in oversized, sweat-stained helmets is screaming past you at 45 miles per hour, driving sleek Italian-made electric go-karts that cost more than a reliable used Honda Civic. And over in the corner, sitting at a sticky folding table, is a grown man in a fire-retardant racing suit, weeping quietly into a spreadsheet. Why? Because he just checked his daily profit and loss statement, and he realized that the biggest moneymaker in his entire high-speed, adrenaline-fueled facility today wasn't aerodynamic downforce, engine performance, or competitive racing. It was a 25-cent plastic glow-in-the-dark wristband that he sold to a 7-year-old for $8. Welcome to the absurd, contradictory, and financially terrifying world of owning a go-kart track. By the time we are done here today, you are going to discover why the fastest way to burn through $1 million is wrapped in fiberglass and moves at 45 miles per hour. You will learn how a bored 16-year-old standing in the pit lane with a laptop can secretly ruin your lifelong dream of becoming Max Verstappen. And you will finally understand why the ultimate boss-level threat to this entire industry isn't a fiery crash on hairpin turn 3, but a commercial landlord named Jerry and a copyright lawsuit from a video game plumber. Let us get one giant, uncomfortable truth out of the way immediately. If you open a go-kart track because you love motorsports, you are going to go broke faster than an F1 car off the starting line. You think you are opening a cathedral of speed, but what you are actually running is a climate-controlled, parrot-friendly pizza and piñata factory that happens to use electric go-karts as a shiny, high-voltage customer acquisition lure. You are not in the racing business. You are in the kid occupancy per square foot business, and those vehicles are just a very loud, very expensive carnival ride designed to drag suburban parents indoors so you can capture their wallets. To understand why this business model is secretly a psychological trap, we have to look at the 3 ways people try to build it. Starting with Tier 1, the mom-and-pop outdoor track. This is the entry-level dream. You spend anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000 to lay down some asphalt, buy a chain-link fence, and purchase 20 gas-powered carts that sound like a swarm of angry lawnmowers. Sounds manageable, right? Not so fast. The hidden killer here is mechanical exhaustion and the sky. Outdoor tracks in the northern half of the country lose 4 to 5 months of prime revenue every single year to winter snow and summer rain, while your bank loan and your liability insurance bill keep arriving every 30 days, like clockwork. But even when the sun is shining, those traditional gas engines are a nightmare. They require a complete top-end engine rebuild every 20 to 50 hours of runtime. That is the mechanical equivalent of having to rebuild your Toyota Camry's engine every other oil change. So instead of living like a motorsport mogul, the owner spends 60 hours a week breathing carbon monoxide, scrubbing grease off their forearms, and walking away with a net margin so thin it basically qualifies as volunteer work. So you say to yourself, forget the weather, forget the gas fumes. I am going to level up to Tier 2, the Indoor Electric Karting Center. This is your K1 speed or your Autobahn style setup. Now, you are dropping anywhere from $1 to $3 million to outfit a massive suburban warehouse. You buy 30 to 50 high-tech electric carts that can launch from 0 to 45 miles per hour in 3 seconds flat. They are quiet, they are blisteringly fast, and they don't give your customers carbon monoxide poisoning. But here comes the surprise punch to the jaw. Those electric carts are not a one-time purchase. They are a rolling graveyard of lithium-ion batteries. Under heavy commercial use, those battery packs last roughly 2 to 3 years before they die, and replacing them costs up to $2,000 per cart. If you own 20 carts, you are silently burning through $40,000 every 30 months just to keep your toys moving. That is the equivalent of buying a brand new Tesla battery pack, but putting it into a toy that gets slammed into tire walls by teenagers. And let's not forget the electrical grid upgrades required to charge 40 industrial batteries simultaneously, or the local fire codes. There's a legendary story in the industry about a major indoor track that spent $50,000 installing a spooky fog machine for a Halloween party, only to watch in horror as their automated lithium battery fire suppression system mistook the fog for smoke and completely shut down the entire facility for 3 hours. And if you think dropping $5 to $10 million on Tier 3, a mega complex with multiple tracks, a full restaurant, 2 bars, and a massive arcade solves the problem, you are stepping into an even bigger trap. At that size, you aren't even a track operator anymore. You are running a full-scale hospitality and casino operation that is constantly taxed by the desperate need for novelty. High-end family entertainment centers have to reinvest up to 8% of their gross revenue every single year into brand new attractions just to prevent their revenue from falling off a cliff because local teenagers got bored and went back to bounce houses. So, with all these bleeding costs, how does anyone actually make a dime? Here's the secret mechanism that makes or breaks the entire industry. It is called utilization-driven ancillary revenue, or as insiders like to call it, the celebration kickback. Let us do some simple, brutal math. When a lone walk-in customer comes through your doors on a Saturday, they pay about $25 for an 8-minute race. That works out to roughly $3 a minute, which is about the same rate as a decent therapist. Except a therapist doesn't give you whiplash when the guy behind you panic brakes into hairpin turn 3. But running that single race actually costs you money in wear and tear, electricity, insurance, and track marshals. Now, compare that solo driver to a birthday party of 10 kids. That party group pays upwards of $500 for a package that includes 2 races, some lukewarm soda, a cheap plastic trophy, and a sheet of pizza. The marginal cost to put those 10 kids on a track that is already running anyway is basically zero. And that pizza? It costs the venue about 30 cents a slice to make, but retails in the party package for $3. That is a 900% markup. Suddenly, you realize that the racing is just the loss leader content to get people into the building so you can sell them cheap cheese and 30-cent glow sticks at a 3,000% profit. This is why chains like Dave and Buster's make 65% of their billions, not from food or beverages, but from arcade games that carry a 90% profit margin. The claw machine is the real cash cow. The racing track is just the massive flashy billboard out front. But speaking of massive billboards, let's talk about the silent assassin that lurks inside every single indoor facility. Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. You see, your rent, your equipment depreciation, and your $50,000 a year liability insurance policy do not take days off. You are paying for that 40,000 square foot building every single second of the month, whether the track is packed or completely empty. If you rely on weekend thrill seekers, you will starve to death by Wednesday. To survive, you have to become a relentless corporate event planner. You need to convince local marketing departments and tech companies to pay $4,000 for a mandatory Tuesday team building exercise. You have to sell them the illusion of high-speed competition, even though we all know the racing isn't entirely up to the driver. Did you know that modern indoor electric karts are wirelessly linked to a central control desk? If you ever felt like your kart mysteriously lost power right when you were about to pass your obnoxious coworker on the final lap, you weren't imagining things. A bored teenager earning $14 an hour pitside literally clicked a button on a laptop and throttled your engine down because you looked like you were about to cause a fender bender. The race you thought you lost fair and square was an inside job. And what happens when you fail to fill those empty Tuesday hours and keep your landlord happy? Just look at the tragic cautionary tale of Pole Position Raceway in Jersey City. Back in 2015, they opened up with a massive roar in a 55,000 square foot warehouse right near the Holland Tunnel. It was the only indoor electric track in the New York City metro area. They had celebrity backing, gorgeous Italian karts, and a booming party business. But they were paying $40,000 a month in rent, and their liability insurance premiums skyrocketed up to $80,000 a year. When a shinier, glitzier competitor opened up across town in Long Island and stole their birthday party pipeline, the math broke. By 2019, just 4 years after opening, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, with $2.4 million in debt. The ticking clock that killed them wasn't a lack of people who liked go-karts. It was their 3-year lease review. When the landlord refused to lower the monthly rent, the track was stripped to the bare walls, leaving behind nothing but an empty, soundproofed warehouse and a lonely arcade claw machine still trying to grab a stuffed Pikachu. And if you think landlords are scary, consider the Tokyo Go-Kart operator who rented miniature street carts to tourists dressed as Mario characters. They didn't get taken out by high insurance or engine failure. They got sued into oblivion by Nintendo's lawyers for 50 million yen in damages. It turns out the only thing faster than a go-kart is a copyright infringement lawsuit from a video game plumber. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with 2 very different destinies in the karting world. In scenario A, you have the passionate mom-and-pop independent operator. They scraped together $400,000 in revenue, but after paying for engine rebuilds, insurance, and labor, they are left with an exhausting 60-hour work week and a net profit that barely beats working retail. Half of all recreation businesses in this category shut down within 5 years because the owners simply burn out. But in scenario B, you have the scaled corporate franchises like K1 Speed. They generate $4 million per location with healthy 20% margins. Why? Because they don't care about racing purists. They win through centralized corporate event sales teams, bulk purchasing power for battery replacements, and by treating their track as an anchor attraction to sell 90% margin arcade games, drinks, and corporate catering. So the next time you walk into a roaring, tire-scented indoor track, look past the helmets, the checkered flags, and the adrenaline. You are not standing in a cathedral of speed. You are standing inside a highly optimized piece of commercial real estate designed to rent out empty calendar hours. The go-kart was never the business. The birthday party was. The cheap plastic trophy was. And that 25-cent glowing wristband dangling from a 7-year-old's wrist was. If you want to see how another everyday business you trust is secretly just a real estate hustle in disguise, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, The economics only get stranger from here.